Hello and welcome to Ephemera. I am fantasy author Katie Brisky.
And I'm editor Jen R. Albert. We hope you're enjoying our theme music courtesy of Alex White. Welcome to anyone joining us for the first time, and welcome back to those who have visited our virtual home before. For those of you who are new, Ephemera is an award-nominated reading series chaired by Katie and myself.
Pre-COVID, we held events in the Glad Day bookshop, and we're thrilled to keep the heart of this series going with you right here on YouTube. And we would like to begin tonight by acknowledging that the land on which I live and work is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. This land is covered under Treaty 13 and is part of the Dish with One Spoon.
And the land on which I live and work is situated upon the traditional territories of the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Mississaugas, and is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. Additionally, this land is covered by the Between the Lakes Purchase 1792 between the Crown and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
There are a lot of ways to think about the concept of heart. You can think about it literally, that beating bundle of muscle beneath our ribs. But even there's a lot to unpack. The First Nations Health Authority in BC reminds us that Indigenous peoples are more likely to experience and die from heart and cardiovascular disease. The reasons for this are manifold: systemic racism, systemic failures, trauma, literally heart sickness, manifesting as disease, a health system that's only just beginning to integrate Indigenous ways of knowing, healing, and wellness. But it is beginning. I'd like to talk about a strengths-based approach to health. In an early sign of progress, the settler system is starting to recognize what Indigenous peoples have known the importance of since time immemorial: access to traditional foodways, time on the land and in community, a healing journey that actively involves elders and ceremony. Imagine any system on this land humble enough, brave enough, strong enough to bring together multiple ways of knowing, being, and healing in a good way. That's where I'd like to get to, anyway. And tonight, I'm also thinking about heart in the emotional sense, which for me slips very quickly into relationship, into community. And I'll give a content warning here for the current events around missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Manitoba. While we are together in community right now, the blockade on the road to the Brady Road landfill has been dismantled. Manitoba Premier Heather Stephenson has said that the province would not search the Prairie Green landfill for the remains of Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron, despite an assessment that risks could be mitigated and the search done safely. Who gets to be searched for? Who gets to go home? So, very real visions of hope and strengths-based resurgence, and the racism and the injustice and the violence. And I remind myself that every heartbeat has two parts. Our hearts can hold hope and anguish, joy and great sorrow. But in addition to feeling, act. Write to your elected representatives, support Indigenous businesses and artists, take action in community, and those with privilege turn it to service. Thank you.
A reminder that voting for the Aurora Awards is still open. You have until July 29th. We're humbled to be included in such fine company. You can find the Ephemera reading series under the best fan-related work. And you'll find many Ephemera alumni as well, friends, family, our friends many friends that we haven't yet met and maybe will come up in the future across all the award categories. So please be sure to check out the Aurora Awards this year.
And I have been wondering something. In a skeleton deer, where does the heart go?
What?
Well, if you look at any picture of Prancy, you can see him smiling.
It's just like the teeth. I don't think I'd call that smiling.
I think he's smiling, but you can't see his heart.
That's just biology.
I am unconvinced.
Okay. Well, anyway, on to the heart of our series. I am pleased to welcome our first reader. Martin Cahill is an Ignite Award-nominated writer living in Hell's Kitchen, New York, and works as the marketing publicity manager for Erewhon Books. He's a graduate of the Clarion West's Writers' Workshop of 2014 and a member of the NYC-based writing group Altered Fluid. You can find his fiction in Clarkesworld, Lightspeed, Fireside Magazine, many of the best places. Obviously, his story Godmeat appeared in the Best Canadian Science Fiction and Fantasy 2019 anthology. Martin has also written for Tor.com, Catapult, Ghostfire Gaming, and more. You can find him online at mcflycahill90. I will post that in the chat. Welcome, Marty.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. If you would like to introduce your reading, you can go ahead. Otherwise, you can get going.
We're beginning. Okay, we shall begin at the beginning where everything begins. I'll be reading for you tonight. When I got the theme for the evening, I was very happy because I had started a story on Monday that literally has a heart within that is very important. It came to me not from a dream, but it was there when I woke up. And I spent all of my lunch break writing the first 2,000 words. And hopefully that will be just enough time to give you all a glimpse. I'd like to give a content warning. This is sort of a dark fantasy kind of story, so there might be some disturbing imagery. So just be aware of that. There's also a monstrous individual that shows up, and I've been told that I run a lot of games for D&D and such, and I've been told I make scary monster sounds. So if I move into a scary monster voice, I have had somebody tell me they need me to warn them, so I'm warning you all here. So we're gonna begin. Thank you again for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. This is a story tentatively titled, But They Can See You. And when I say they in this story, they is always capitalized. So, it has all felt like the dream it should be until you step out onto the stage at the center of the amphitheater. It is cold in a way that makes it terrifyingly real, realer than you have been hoping in this timeless place, that at some point you'd open your eyes and laugh the fear away. The stage is absolutely frigid beneath you, though. Spikes of pain run from your heel and toes and arch up your leg, trying to seize you and hold you still. Like an arrow through the knee or a knife in the leg, this stage would pin you as surely as one of them would, if given the chance. Because the part of you that is prey knows, looking at this cold iron stage, that as much as it protects you from them, it is also a trap. And when night comes in this timeless space, you are walking into it willingly. You do not have to, your keeper says, her voice thin as river mist, but such a choice closes doors you may not know are there. She says it like someone who didn't realize that until it was too late. This waif, this after image of a person, her wrists and ankles bound in thick chains of daisy and iris, tiger lily and orchid, braided, by delicate, monstrous hands. She wears a collar of honeycomb around her neck, and though her wide emerald eyes are dry, She weeps thick and golden from her throat. Her face is impassive, as cold as the stage you will soon stand on. If she wishes to say more, you wonder if honey would catch in her throat, choking the language from her. You will need this, she says, handing you a thick cloth. She gestures to your eyes. To be seen, to be known. It is a luxury for them, not for you, not for the others. The others, yes, there are others. In this place without time, this hazy nightmare, it is easy to be selfish, to forget. But you look around the stone amphitheater rising into the sky, built into a cliff of red clay, rich with purple and gold wildflowers, a setting sun painting it crimson and hot, and you spy those others, with keepers of their own, festooned in different chains. A girl younger than you sits at the foot of the iron stage, knees pulled up to her chest. Her nightgown is scattered with pink and yellow clouds, hair pulled into pigtails on either side, limp straw that hangs lifeless from her head. Next to her is a beautiful young man with thorns around his throat, his wrists linked with sprigs of rosemary and thyme. When he speaks, dots of red appear on the thorns like little roses blooming. The girl says nothing, staring up at the stage. Higher in the stands, walking back and forth, is an older man, balding, belly sagging over flannel pants, holding arms around his thin torso as though the sun that shines here has a cold light. His brow is knotted, worried. He mumbles to himself, though you cannot hear what he says. Pacing with him is a keeper that resembles your own, though her body curves like a scimitar, unlike your long sword warden. Her hair a dark river of ink, and around her neck is an illustration of ocean waves, midnight against her skin. Around her wrists are tattoos of stars and anchors, rope and sailcloth, a constellation of its own making. Your keeper comes close. She reeks of sweetness, of a hive glutted and untended, her voice buzzing in your ear with warning. And you must not see them ever. When the stars come out, put the cloth over your eyes and do not look. To look upon them when they have not wished it, worse than death, worse than anything, you will. The honeycomb around her neck cracks as it draws tighter. The flowers at her wrist constrict. There may very well be wax in her mouth for the speed with which she ceases speaking. But what she cannot say out loud, she expresses with her eyes. Do not make the mistakes I did. And that may very well be the last time she speaks to you. You're realizing as you drink in the scene around you, this is not a place of answers, that the mighty trees of evergreen that stalk the field around the stone theater do not hold any sort of kindness in the heavy darkness beyond your sight, that the vivid sky of orange and indigo quickly fading holds no relief now or in the stars to come, and that the answer to the one question you actually had may only appear once you successfully answer it. Will you get your heart back? Not having it is the oddest sensation you've ever experienced. You place a hand on the flesh above your left breast, and it may be colder than the iron stage. Gone the heat, gone the steady rhythm, and yet you live. It dawns on you that beyond horror, beyond fascination, what you feel most of all is loneliness. Your heart has been with you from the earliest moments of your life, and they have taken it as though it is theirs to keep. Will it be salted and cured, hung on a rack of cat's cradle to dry and age like a fine cut of beef, or placed within a glass box still pumping to be gawked at and admired whenever they wish to look upon it? Or will it simply be pulled apart, chamber by chamber, and divided amongst them that have it in their safe keep and stolen in your sleep? The sun is setting fast now. Above you, the first stars emerge from the dark, coy and bashful. The space between them is darker here, hungrier, you think. The trees begin to rustle and sway. A wind you cannot feel is moving through them. A high, thin laugh like a child's giggle slithers out from the corner of your eye. Then a crow's caw, loud and piercing, shatters the moment. Your keeper turns to look at you, then to the cloth in your hand, before turning to the rest. He is early. Everyone, onto the stage, now. The little girl is moved into motion, quicker than a rabbit beneath the hawk's shadow. The old man is helped down the stairs by his keeper, tears in his eyes. You take this moment to wrap the cloth around your own. You worried it would be total darkness, but there is some light coming through the lining. Sight goes away, and you strain your other senses, searching the encroaching night. Who is he, and why does he come early? You can only imagine your heart, wherever it is, beats faster than you've ever known. A blur of motion across your limited field of vision, and that awful sound again. It sounds as though the crow chokes on it, part laugh, part suffocation. A fluttering mass of wings and feathers and sound appear before you. The cloth keeps you from seeing details. But whoever he is tall. His clothing is dark with points of light that speak to buttons and clasps and medals. You glimpse a too long hand with too many rings on it, as though it is a medieval gauntlet. The face you cannot see, but the voice is harsh in your ears, like it doesn't know language. There is just enough space beneath your cloth, enough to look down and see that he floats an inch above the iron stage. It seems they have ways of bending the rules that bind them. An evening of entertaining. Yes, yes. Look at these humans gathered here for the tasting. Oh, we have young and old and beauty. We have happy and we have scared and so sad. Oh, human, many long nights we waited for our pets to bring us good, terrible stories. What will you tell us tonight? Oh, I am over all the many moon. He says it like human, as though it is an odd stone in his mouth that he loves the taste of but cannot swallow. He moves through the air, reaches down, seeming to caress the cheek of the young girl, who screams when his hand touches her. He laughs, saying, "Oh, language I am not good at. So full of words, words full of meaning. When we say things, we delight in bruteness." His hand moves up and grabs one of the young girl's pigtails. Her scream heightens, staccatos. Is that laughter? Bare your hearts tonight, human. Bloody, awful, red. Bare your hearts, and you get them back. If we don't like what we hear, your hearts we eat. In a single motion, you hear the sudden snick of a knife being drawn. His hand is moving up and through the pigtail, slicing it free of the girl's head, and before she can scream, it is lowered to where his head should be and disappears with a sound that turns your stomach. Now the scream, the laugh, the young girl cannot decide what is coming out of her mouth. Behind her, the old man does the same, a weird bray that denotes a donkey, who cannot tell if it is delighted or horrified to be headed to the slaughterhouse. And you realize they don't have blindfolds on yet. Whoever he is, they are seeing him, and it is driving them mad, which is when he turns to you. There's a chill in the air as he looks at you, sees what you wear. Without a word, his form moves to your keeper, his limbs snapping out. You hear her begin to choke as he spits a string of sound at her that sounds nothing like language or music, and everything like hail cracking the glass of car windshields, cicada wings taking flight in their thousands, bullfrogs snapped up into the jaws of heron and alligator alike. The awful stench of crushed honey fills the air. And then it's over. She is tossed to the iron stage. He floats to you, and the world becomes his voice and his alone beyond the fabric. My puppy learned to talk, it seems, human. I thought I had eaten all of her words from her. Keep your fabric shield. Let not you see our glory until we unmask you. Tonight, I feast on your heart and her words together. In a flapping of wings, he's gone. And you go to the keeper because she has been kind to you, and you don't wish for a world where no one does anything, not anymore. But you push that memory like a dagger out of your mind, and you put your arms over her form, and up you both go, the honey sizzling and smelling suddenly like blood on the metal stage. As you all retreat behind the black velvet curtain that demarcates audience from performance, it is just In the nick of time, the sun is set, the stars are out, the moon shines down in her fullness, and they begin to arrive. Thank you.
Love the monster voice. The whole green room went wild with excitement and joy. And also, as usual, those small details that like take a minute for you to be like, wait, oh, right in the heart. So thank you very much for starting us in a like wonderful, monstrous way.
It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you all for having me, and I'm glad you all enjoyed. Thank you.
Huzzah.
Thank you.
And I have been thinking further. If Prancy is imaginary as a skeleton deer, then we can apply any sort of biology to him.
I guess.
And Prancy wants a heart. He said so.
Is this the Wizard of Oz now?
No, but maybe we can learn from it. Classic literature trivia time. What does the wizard actually give to the Tin Man in the end of the story?
Tell us in the chat. Literature trivia.
I had to actually look it up because I didn't know.
Not the movie. The movie is different.
Movie's different. We want the book. And while you plumb your brains for that knowledge, it is my pleasure to introduce our next guest. Kari Maaren is a writer, cartoonist, musician, and academic whose first novel, the YA fantasy Weave a Circle Round, was published by Tor Books in 2017. It tied for the 2018 Copper Cylinder Award, YA category, and was a finalist for the Andre Norton Award for Young Science Fiction and Young Adult Science Fiction and Fantasy, and was shortlisted for the Sunburst Award, YA category. Kari has a completed webcomic, West of Bathurst, and an active one, the Multi-Aurora winning, and I believe this year nominated again, yes, It Never Rains, and she has produced 2 independent albums, Beowulf Pulled My Arm Off, and Everybody Hates Elves. She lives in Toronto with too many musical instruments and an astounding number of books. Welcome, Kari. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Am I audible?
You are audible.
I'm audible. Okay. So thank you. Yeah, ephemera themes. I've done this before, and ephemera themes are always like, what should I do? But the 2 songs I have chosen for this are appropriate in their own ways, but not as literal as Marty's reading. Marty was very literal about heart. This is more metaphorical. So this first song is about a trope that appears in a lot of literature and movies and so on, and I hate it very much. So here we go. There. Just give me a second. There. Go questing in the Badlands with Shauna as their brave companion clad in threads of gold. The 3 fight dragons and recover bushels of lost treasure and lore recorded by the ancients in the days of old. They suffer and they overcome, they weep, they fight, they conquer, and Thurgold's mind is broken when he finds he cannot bend. But everything they go through is a footnote to the real point. There's really only one plot thread that matters in the end. They are in love. Boy wants girl, girl wants other boy. The math is wrong, and that makes everything seem right. Push comes to shove, and any story, any song should treat true love as more important than a planet-changing fight. They are in love. Captain Smithson and his crew explore a distant planet. They crash on when their cargo ship develops sentience and tries to kill them all. This starts a struggle for dominion between the humans and machines, which quickly grows intense. The conflict spans a century and several generations. The younger fighters do not know what they are fighting for. A few escape the battle and hole up on someone's farmstead. And then we get the bit that's more important than the war. They are in love. That is what gives the tale its punch. If there were no love plot, why would we even care? The moral of the story always has to go somewhere with true love at the center. There is nothing can compare. They are in love. Bridget is a foundling who goes wandering through the forest. She comes across a mansion lurking lost and overgrown. She bravely breaks in to explore and finds it full of monsters, awaking her ancestral need to fight them on her own. She'll stand upon the mountaintop, death pulsing through her fingers, her destiny a shining light that must prevail. But first she's got to make it through that mansion full of monsters. And most of them are kinda cute, and all of them are male. They are in love, which is the way it always goes. The story's charms are not complete without a kiss. If we must shove our heroine into the arms of monsters, that's the way it's going to be. She'd better find her bliss. They are in love. They are in love. Let's take 5 pages to describe the way they gaze into each other's soulful eyes. We'll rise above that pesky plot, and we'll amaze you all with just how much in love they are. You'll feel such glad surprise. You'll be in love. There's so much love. They are in love. So yeah. All right. So yeah, that was I'm not entirely fond of love stories sometimes. So for the second one and final one, I will do a song that is completely different from that and a little bit less mean. Sorry, it needs a capo and it needs to. Okay. So this is the story that probably for me embodies the theme of heart the most, because it's close to my heart and it's a subject that's close to my heart. And everybody who writes music in this genre, which is, I guess, the geek genre, eventually writes a song about reading. So a lot of these songs, which are all great, are from the perspective of a child who is lonely and escapes through reading and all that stuff. And my song is not particularly different from those songs, but it is from the perspective not of the child, but of the book. So here we go. And sorry, my computer keeps dinging. That's right, you are on your own. Big world, cruel world, you like to be alone. You need something bigger than the sky. You don't know what it is, and you don't know why. Come on, come near, I am here for you. You're not sure what I'm for, but I know what to do. I hope you're ready to come and take open up my book. Come with me up above. We shall save the world with love, or with swords, or shoes, or wishing rings, or battles on the sea. Come with me down below. We have many miles to go. You don't know what you don't know. Come with me. We'll go somewhere long ago and far away, and you'll hate it and you'll want to stay. Here you are in an adventure that could kill, and you know you won't be safe, and you know you will. Come with me up above. We shall save the world with love, or with swords, or shoes, or wishing rings, or battles on the sea. Come with me down below. We have many miles to go. You don't know what you don't know. Come with me. Travel the forest, carry the one ring. You are the chosen one, you are the true king. He just betrayed you, make an alliance. Now you have tamed a dragon with science. Ride the winged horses, hope that you stay on. Find something precious in that broken crayon. Discover the planet, conquer it fully. Use your magic to pummel the bully. Run from the danger, see yourself beaten. Stand up again to make sure you're not eaten. Carry the one ring, do it in stages. Take a deep breath as you're turning the pages. You will find out I have a lot to grant. You can trust me, and you really can't. You want comfort as you cuddle in your bed. I can't quite give you that, but take this axe instead. Big world, cruel world, obscured and rearranged. When you emerge, you'll be just a little changed. You're uncertain what will happen then, but you can always come back and do it all again. Come with me up above. We shall save the world with love, or with swords, or shoes, or wishing rings, or battles on the sea. Come with me down below. We have many miles to go. You don't know what you don't know. Come with me. Come with me up above. We shall save the world with love, or with swords, or shoes, or wishing rings, or battles on the sea. Come with me down below. We have many miles to go. You don't know what you don't know. Come with me. You don't know what you don't know. Come with me. You don't know what you don't know. Come with me. The end.
The first song made me laugh. The second song made me cry. You can create a lot of emotions in a heart, Kari,
Yes, you can.
because particularly with your art, it comes like that you have so many different cool emotions that you then make other people have emotions about.
It's mean. Yeah.
But delightful. I like your mean songs. They're funny. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
From our hearts to
much, Kari.
yours.
Oh, the results are in. The wizard gave the Tin Man a velvet heart filled with sawdust. In the chat, it says silk heart. So close enough.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure someone would say that is an important detail, but at least they didn't say the clock thing from the film.
Yes.
So close enough, I say.
Do you think Prancy would be okay with that one, or like?
Well, you see, he wants a real heart, it turns out.
I just don't know what he'd do with it. He doesn't have a circulatory system.
Well, you know what? He will just find a spot to keep it. Audience, friends, where should Prancy keep his heart? Be imaginative, wrong answers only, and tell us in the chat.
We'll wait on that one. Until then, I'll introduce our next reader, A.G. Pasquellal, whose most recent book, Welcome to the Weird America, has been compared to a lit stick of dynamite. Wow, I actually really want to pick that up. He is the author of the Jack Palance crime novels. A.G. was born in Dallas, Texas, and now lives in Toronto, Ontario. Welcome, A.G. Thanks so much for being with us.
Seems to have vanished.
Oh, in the waiting room now. Here we go. Hold on. One moment.
A dramatic entrance.
Very dramatic.
By our next reader.
He mentioned that his connection might be a bit. Oh, there you are. You are up,
here.
AG.
You are good.
And please show the cover of your book if you have it. It is so cool looking.
Yes, I'm back, everybody. Sorry for the technical glitch. This is my latest book, Welcome to the Weird America. There is a man with 6 eyes there in front of a 50s style picnic. And he's just letting his freak flag fly, which is what this book is all about. And so tonight I'm going to be reading, this is 3 novellas in here, and they're all kind of speculative. And the middle one, which I'm going to read from tonight, is super speculative. It's my love letter to science fiction. It's also funny. It's kind of like Galaxy Quest, if you guys remember that movie that was a while ago. All right, shall I jump into it? Everybody ready? All right, let's do this. So the main premise, all you really need to know about this is Newtown is the name of the novella. And it's also the name of the spaceship, which is the main focus in this story. It's a phase ship that is constantly changing. And the people aboard, sometimes they don't want to be there, sometimes they do, and they kind of go from there. So it's a motley crew. Of course, how could it be unmotley, right? That would not be interesting. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with chapter 8. Henderson whistles down the corridor with a spring in his step and a song in his heart. The doors to the sex bot bay whoosh open and he rushes inside, bouquet of peonies and box of chocolates at the ready. Darling, I missed you so. Henderson stifles a scream. Sexbot 42, her faceplate removed, hangs suspended from a magnetic field. Hundreds of ant-like maintenance droids swarm across her body. 42 swivels her head toward Henderson. Sorry, sugar. Dating protocol 404 is currently unavailable. Analyzing vocal response subroutines. Let me help you with that, sweetheart. Oh, yes. Oh, that feels so. Vocal response file not found. Bile bubbles on Henderson's tongue. He vaults over a steady stream of maintenance droids and jabs at a keyboard. Glowing schematics trace the signal back to its source. Damn rebels! Henderson mashes a big red button. Kill team, roll out. A week earlier, Captain Davis chomps on his cigar. It's not all fun and games being on the kill team. Oh, sure, there's bingo night and trivia and bocce and all that, but don't let the good times fool you. When that big red button gets pushed, boy, you gotta hustle. The young copper-skinned Golarian, species 742, juts out his gigantic jaw. Sir, yes, sir. I understand, sir. The captain shakes his shaggy head. I doubt it, boy. You ever hold your best friend's severed head in your lap? Ever had your arms ripped right off your body by a plasma mine? The captain slams his metal arms against his desk. These things aren't just for show, boy. Captain Davis leans in. And here's the thing. It's not that easy to kill someone. We're talking about living beings with hopes and dreams just like you. They got mamas and papas just like you. Unless they spontaneously grew from a spore in an asexual reproduction ritual. We got some of them too. But the others, they got mamas and papas who love them very much. Captain Davies turns away so the Golarian won't see the single tear sliding down his cheek. Why do you want to join the kill team anyway? It's like you said, sir, I miss my parents very much. I want to work my way up from deckhand and get off this ship. The Golarian stares at the stars glimmering outside the nearest porthole. I want to go home. You got a name? Yes, sir. The Golarian emits a high-pitched shriek. Across the room, the captain's glass-topped coffee table explodes into shards. The captain rubs his ears. I mean a human name. Call me Robert. The captain sticks out his metal hand. Welcome to the kill team, Robert. Chapter 9. Here they come. Paco's long black hair flutters behind him like a flag as he leaps for the hatch. Plasma beams rip from his rifle. Return fire melts the walls. Rosemary, Paco, and Doc hot-footed down the corridor, laser fire licking at their heels. Ahead of them, the corridor stretches and twists like taffy. Doc shouts, 3 seconds to phase. We can make it. Rosemary takes a deep breath and gets ready to leap. In front of her, the air crackles with golden sparks. What the? The sparks fade. Pressure-suited Sammy stands blinking in the corridor. Rosemary reaches out and gives Sammy a shove. Move, you idiot. Too late. A kitchen bulkhead materializes, outfitted with glossy granite countertops, and seals the corridor. Rosemary slams the butt of her rifle into Sammy's faceplate, cracks Spider the glass. Disoriented, he stumbles back against the countertops. Eye contact. Rosemary's eyes are green and flecked with gold. Sammy's are blue, bright blue, like the earth's sky before the fires. Sammy opens his mouth, but then vanishes in a shower of sparks. Rosemary's mouth drops open. What the hell is that? Doc grabs Rosemary's arm. Get down! The kill team advances through the smoke. Robert the Golarian charges a buzz bomb. Doc, the deflector! Paco crouches down. If this thing doesn't work, it'll work. The bomb goes off with a screaming of saws. Rosemary raises her head. Her face is streaked with blood. Blood drips from the walls. Robert the Golarian stumbles backwards and sprawls against the bulkhead, blood pumping from a hole in his gut. Rosemary runs towards Robert. Doc! Doc staggers forward, face the color of ash. He kneels, his hands flying over the Golarian's scorched chest. The Golarian coughs, choking on his own green blood. Images flash. His mother, smiling. Vines and mist. A four-winged bird soaring through the purple, pale sky of home. Rosemary's mouth is a thin white line. Keep trying. Paco frowns. He's the enemy. He's a living being. Anymore. Doc stands up. Sorry, Rosie. Doc points his laser scalpel and slices through the corridor floor. We gotta go. Doc climbs into the hole. Paco follows. Rosemary takes a deep breath and jumps. Chapter 10. Sammy unlatches his shattered helmet and gulps the lab's cool air. Sebastian laughs, robotic legs leaping up and down, shaking metal shelves and cracking the concrete floor. It worked! Sammy freezes. You said you knew it worked. I mean, yeah, I did. All those simulations I ran. You didn't test this thing first? Well, you tested it on me. Sebastian steps closer to his son. You seemed so excited. I wasn't going to deny you this grand adventure. First person to phase aboard the phase ship? You might get a medal for this, son. How do you feel? Sammy turns and vomits on the concrete floor. The vacuum bot zips from its alcove and slurps up the puke. Sebastian passes Sammy his handkerchief and frowns. Medbot! A black orb about the size of a cantaloupe rises from its recharging station and gives Sammy a scan. Broken nose. You'll be fine. Hold still. This won't hurt a bit. Sammy screams as the Medbot's tractor beam yanks his nose into place. Blood splatters the front of his pressure suit. You are now healed. Have a safe and healthy day. Sammy wipes blood from his lip with his father's handkerchief. Dad, I think I'm in love. Thank you. And thanks so much for having me, everybody. This has been great.
Thank you so much for being here. And again, I'm like, we have so many talented I don't even know what the voice manifestations tonight. Monster voices, music, robot voices. This is
and so many amazing interpretations all over the place of the theme. It's so good.
Did we have suggestions for Prancy?
We did. Darkly poked into one of his antlers, very Stephen Grant Jones, in his right hoof. That's it.
I like that they were interpretations that still had it on his body and not like in an egg in the bottom of a pit on another planet, or like inside a duck, which is inside a bear, which is inside an elephant, which is inside a black hole.
The ducks also has a heart. Okay.
Anyway, well that solves one problem. But he's still missing the actual, the like heart.
Yeah, I say this as a scientist, but perhaps there's more to the heart than just biology. We often talk about books having a lot of heart, for example.
Like which ones?
I love the let's see, OG Lord of the Rings. This is just full of heart. Yes. I love The Goblin Emperor, Piranesi, anything by Sophia Samatar. These are things that are just that pull at my heartstrings anyway. Maybe the audience can come up with a few more.
Yeah, let us know in the chat which books you think have a lot of heart. In addition to some of the ones here tonight. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our final reader. Micaiah Johnson is the Compton Crook Award-winning author of The Space Between Worlds. Her debut novel was an editor's choice at the New York Times and was named one of the best books of 2020 and one of the best science fiction books of the last decade by NPR. She was raised in California's Mojave Desert, surrounded by trees named Joshua and women who told stories. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing from the University of California, Riverside, and her Master of Fine Arts in Fiction from Rutgers-Camden. She studies at Vanderbilt University, where she focuses on critical race theory and automatons. Welcome, Micaiah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry that I'm going to derail our really great series of good voice work. I don't have, it's not one of my skills. I'm so sorry. This wretch you see before you is all the voice you get. I'm sorry.
It's a
like the
delightful
standard was
voice.
raised very high before I got here, and it's not my fault. So I really appreciate this theme because I feel like heart is not what people usually ask from me. Writing like dark science fiction. Instead, I usually, it's like momentum, excitement. And so, I don't know, I was kind of just really excited to get to do this. So the first piece that I wanted to read is kind of, I guess I'm being kind of transgressive. There isn't speculative fiction in this piece particularly. But when I think about heart, I kind of do think about nonfiction. I think about honesty and that kind of the visceralness. So I have a very short piece that I'm going to read that I would never have the opportunity to otherwise, except for this theme. And then I have like a lot of spec fic for you guys, I promise. Okay, so this is called Chili. Many of us who are latchkey kid adjacent can name at least one large batch meal born to be leftovers that we've hated, not because it was gross, but because we knew it too well. For me, it was my mother's chili. Cooked in a giant black pan that intelligent people tell me is a soup pot, but that I will only ever call a cauldron, the smell of chili in the kitchen meant my sisters and I would be eating it once a day for, at the very least, a week. Every "I'm hungry" would be met with "eat some chili." Every "there's no food" would result in "there's the chili." There was always, like crocodiles or horseshoe crabs or some other prehistoric creature that manages to slog forward through great extinctions untouched, the chili. When I left home, it was in the fashion of all Jehovah's Witness teenagers leaving home, in an explosion followed by an exile. My last year at home was every cliche about teenage self-discovery, conflicting with parental control, like Dirty Dancing, but without Patrick Swayze and with far more quoted scripture. I was poor, living in a trailer with mold in the ceiling, and the kind of landlords who are so difficult, so unstable, they are forced to keep the rent cheap because only those who have no choice would put up with them. I was isolated, I was hopeless, and I was hungry. One night there was a knock at the door, and I opened it to that familiar giant pot of chili with $100 tucked into the lid. My parents were not the kind of people for whom $100 was nothing. In 3 months, they would be facing another foreclosure, losing their home in the hills of Hesperia and having to move with 2 grandmothers into an apartment in a less than desirable part of an already less than desirable town. But here somehow was $100 and a week's worth of food. In my memory, I held the still warm pot like a buoy and cried, but that may be a trick of a decade and a half's distance in my own dramatic imagination. But it felt like that. It felt exactly like I was holding on to something that was the difference between drowning and not drowning. For the next week, every desperate, panicked "I'm hungry" or "I don't have any food" was met by a different, calmer voice from my childhood answering, "There's the chili." So now I'm going to be reading from The Space Between Worlds, which is my debut novel. I'm just going to be reading a slightly different arrangement of selections than I usually do. And that's, again, thank you for this opportunity. And I truly love this series. And I truly love this theme. When the multiverse was confirmed, the spiritual and scientific communities both counted it as evidence of their validity. The scientists said, "Look, we told you there were parallel universes." And the spiritual said, "See, we've always known there was more than one life." I just want to give a quick content warning for implied child death and drug use. Even worthless things can become valuable once they become rare. This is the grand lesson of my life. I'm at the base of a mountain looking over a landscape I was never meant to see. On this earth, number 197, I died at 3 months old. The file only lists respiratory complications as cause of death, but the address on the certificate is the same one-room shack where I spent most of my life, so I can picture the sheet metal roof, the concrete floor, and the mattress my mother and I shared on so many different earths. I know I died warm, sleeping, and inhaling honest dirt off my mother's skin. Kara, respond. Kara? That's Del. She's been calling me, but she's only irritated now, and I won't answer until she's concerned. Not because I like being difficult, though there is definitely that, but because her worry over a wasted mission sounds just like worry over me. Behind me, information is downloading from a stationary port into a mobile one. When it's done, I'll take the mobile back to Earth 0, our primary Earth, the one the others think of as real. The information I gather is divided up into light data, population, temperature fluctuations, general news, and dark data, what is affecting their stocks that might affect ours, or if it's a future world, a full listing of where every stock will close on a given day and what our allied countries are doing that we don't yet know about. The existence of dark data is some big secret, though I don't know why anyone would care. Insider trading and espionage don't even sound like crimes, not real ones, not ones with blood. Kara, Dell says, but she's still just annoyed. I check the download's progress, 60%. Kara, I need you to answer me. There we go. I'm here, I say, super helpful like I like to be. There's a pause while she resets to apathy, but I heard the panic. For a second, she cared. You don't always have to leave me waiting. And you don't always have to plant me 2 miles from my download port, so I guess we're both a little petty, huh, Dell? I can hear her smiling, but not smiling from 196 worlds away. You're wanted back. There's a file on your desk. I already have my pulls for the week. Not a pull, a new file. No, but I put my hand against my chest, expecting to feel a divot, some missing chunk of flesh. I want to tell her it can't be true. I want to tell her I would have known. Instead, I tell her I need an hour and I cut the link. If I have a new file, it means I have a new world. And if I have a new world, it means that particular Earth's me isn't using it anymore. I'm dead again, somewhere else, and I didn't feel a thing. I'm not sure how long I sit, staring out at a horizon that's like mine, but not. The download dings its finish. I could traverse out from here, since there's no one to see me, but I steal a little time exploring the place fate tried to keep from me. Another me is gone, which means I'm more valuable walking down the mountain than I was walking up. Sorry, as I jump around everywhere. Okay. Time is flat. We process it linearly, but everything is happening all at once, always. Right now, Dell is my watcher and nothing else. Right now, somewhere, I am kissing Nick Nick. I'm also leaving him, and I'm killing him probably, because surely I've done that before or will somewhere in the infinite. But I'm also home with Dell, and we are happy, or we are not. Or we used to be happy and now she resents my lower status and I resent her resentment, and we stay together because we've given up too much to do anything else. I have always believed, like all rational people, that my selves are separate, that we exist independently. But sometimes when life is too still, when I lie in bed in the quiet, I can feel it all happening. Not just my cells collapsing, but time collapsing, because past and future are other selves just as surely as those on other worlds. My mother is dying right now, and I feel it. But she also recovered, woke up, got clean, and I feel that too. I feel that somewhere I am not alone, and I feel that sometime, soon or not long ago, I will accomplish something great. It's the latter I feel the most strongly, the certainty that I'm on the cusp of finally being worth something. But maybe that's just my justification for reaching, for disobeying my mother's last warning. Maybe she felt the flattened universe too, all things at once there at the end. Maybe she saw how I would die, have died, will die again, and tried to tell me. Do you know that I feel those too? Right where my heart should be when I'm not careful? I feel 372 deaths in my chest, hanging over my head like a heavenly host of guillotines. And right now, I'm trying to ignore the hum telling me number 373 is coming, for real this time, and soon. Reasons I have died. The emperor wanted to make an example of my mother and started with me. One of my mother's boyfriends wanted to cover up what he did to me. I was born addicted and my lungs didn't develop. I was born addicted and my brain didn't develop. I was left alone and a stranger came along. The runners came for a neighbor and I was in the way. The runners came for my mother and I was in the way. The runners came for my mother's boyfriend and I was in the way. The runners came for nothing, serving nothing but chaos and fear, and I was what they found. Sometimes my mother just left me alone in the shed that she kept me in while she worked or got high, and I fell asleep alone and hungry and forever. Reasons I have lived? I don't know, but I know that there are 8. Thank you.
So first of all, we're keeping the voice work at the same level, absolutely. And second, I just want to thank you so much, certainly for the Space Between Worlds, but also for sharing a piece that we don't often have the privilege of hearing on Ephemera. So I'm just really touched in my heart that you shared it with us tonight, and we're really grateful.
Thank you so much.
So do we have some books that Prancy can add to his TBR?
Yeah, we have This Is How You Lose the Time War, the Widdershins novels, and also the novels tonight, The Space Between Worlds, Welcome to the Weird America, the works of Marty, Weave a Circle Around by Kari. Everybody's here on screen now. Is that enough? Does that help?
Yes, indeed it does, but not for the reason that you're expecting. You see, Prancy was so touched that everyone has taken so much time and effort to help him obtain a heart. It made him realize he's had one all along.
Really?
Yes, all of us in this community are Prancy's heart.
Of course. Heartwarming indeed. Oh, until next time, everyone, please do not forget to vote in the Auroras for us at Ephemera, also Kari. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Ephemera Series, Twitter for occasional updates, and of course, please subscribe to this YouTube page. If you'd like to track our adventures via planner or calendar app, please feel free to put a standing get together with us on the 3rd Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We would like to thank the Ontario Arts Council for their funding assistance.
And as we close out tonight, we would like to thank our fabulous artists for joining us here, our composer Alex White, our friends, families, loved ones, and you. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you next on August 19th, right